I'm 82 years old, and the thing I spent my whole life chasing is the very thing that kept me from what actually mattered. I'm sitting alone at my kitchen table as I record this. Same table I bought in 1979. Oak, solid, heavy. I thought it would see decades of family dinners. Now it mostly holds my coffee cup. My hands shake a little when I lift it. Not from fear, from time. I don't have much of that left, but I have clarity, and I need to tell you how long it took me to find it. I was born in 1943. End of the war. Everyone said my generation would rebuild the world. My father worked until his hands cracked. My mother kept the house quiet and clean. We didn't talk about feelings. We talked about surviving. So when I was young, I learned early what mattered, or at least what I thought mattered. Security, respect, being someone people nodded at when you walked into a room. I married Sarah in 1968. She was 22. I was 24. She smelled like soap and cigarettes back then. We rented a small apartment over a bakery. Every morning at 5, the smell of bread crept through the floorboards. She hated it. I loved it. We had a tiny kitchen, a table barely big enough for 2 plates, and we talked for hours there, about nothing, about everything. I promised her I'd give her a better life, a bigger house, a safer future. I meant it. When our first son was born in 1972, I held him and thought, this is it. This is why I work so hard. And then I worked harder. Longer hours, more responsibility, less time. I told myself it was temporary, just until the next promotion, just until the next raise. Sarah would say, don't stay so late tonight. And I'd kiss her cheek and say, it's for us. I believed that. It was 1985. I was 41 years old. They offered me a big position, corner office, more money than I'd ever seen, but it meant travel, weeks away, sometimes months. I remember sitting in the car outside our house, engine running. I could see Sarah through the window. She was helping our youngest with homework at the table. I didn't want to go inside, because I knew what the conversation would be. She said, do we really need this? And I said, this is our chance. What I didn't say was, I liked being needed at work. I liked the way people listened to me there. At home, I was just dad, just a husband, so I took the job. I missed birthdays, school plays, quiet nights that never came back. I told myself I'd make it up later. I always thought there would be later. Time doesn't stop to negotiate. It just moves. Sarah stopped asking me to come home early. The boys stopped waiting up. I didn't notice when the house got quieter, only when it stayed that way. In 2003, Sarah got sick. Nothing dramatic at first, just tired. I was on a business trip when she was admitted. She told me not to rush. I arrived 2 days later. She looked smaller, like life had been slowly folding her inward. She squeezed my hand and said, you always kept your promises, just not the ones that mattered most. She died that winter. After the funeral, I went back to work. I didn't know what else to do. The boys were grown. They had their own lives. They called on holidays. Sometimes. The office applauded when I retired. They gave me a plaque. I hung it in the garage. It didn't feel like much. Years passed. Friends disappeared one by one. First the phone stopped ringing, then the house started echoing. One night, I sat at that kitchen table, the same one from 1979, and I realized something that made my chest ache. I had built a life that looked impressive, but felt empty once the noise stopped. I'm 82 now. My body is slower. My memory slips sometimes. But my heart is clear. What mattered wasn't the job, or the money, or the admiration of strangers. It was the ordinary moments I treated like obstacles. The dinners I skipped, the conversations I rushed. Love doesn't shout. It waits, and if you ignore it long enough, it leaves quietly. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't say, work less. I'd say, pay attention, because one day, attention is all you'll wish you'd given more of. You still have time. I don't. So before this ends, call someone you love. Sit with them. Listen without looking at the clock. Don't wait for retirement to start living. If this story stayed with you, stay here a little longer. There's more wisdom to share before time runs out.